Here at John's old house, 835 Squires, trying to figure out what happened to my son, and it's hard because it's complicated. So, basically, I'm not sure what to say. It's a tough situation. You live your life and do the best you can, and it was a rough life. He was a fast driver. And
unfortunately, with grief, a lot of times people go their separate ways and handle it in their own way, and then it becomes almost taboo in your own family to bring the person up. You might not want to bring them up to trigger the other person if they're going through something already or whatever, and then it's almost like then you feel guilty because you're not communicating about that person with someone that knows them, and other people don't know them, so even if you talk to them about the person, it might feel good, but it's not the same. So that's why a lot of times, especially when you were younger, Hannah, I used to come over and try to, talk to you about John and tell you stories or memories, of how he used to drive like a speed racer and he used to kill spiders with spray and set them on fire. So, yeah.
And leave the bodies behind?
Yeah. All burnt up, yes. But, and, obviously those are some boy-like things to do, but he also had some compassion. I mean, when I was younger in North Carolina, an older man did some messed up things to me, and John stuck up for me and beat the shit out of him that day, and I'll never forget that. That was really the first time that either of my brothers ever really had my back, and it was John that had it that day. So
It's like he liked to tease people, but he was a hard worker at the job. He did struggle sometimes to keep in jobs. I think I didn't know this a while ago, but now I realize he had ADHD really good, and addiction problems, but he could be funny. And he loved his children. Yes.
Repeat that.
That he regretted his wrongs.
Such as?
Obviously leaving the best woman that he could have ever asked for ever for like a piece of shit little girl that was crazy.
After he had left me, Andy, he went from caring about how he looked to growing a full beard, listening to country, wearing dirty shoes, and just not caring anymore. And honestly, now when I think back to it, how much he had changed so fast, when I see that, even in other people that I might know or are close to me, I get worried. I feel like crying. Because, I didn't see it in him. And of course, they say suicide's a selfish act, but when you're close to suicide or you're in that headset, I know from experience that you're not thinking about anyone else because you want the pain to end. And, of course you think about your family, I'm sure, but, the pain overrides all that and the suffering.
I think it's not a coincidence that right before that, like this was like 3 days before he died, he moved with the girl like farther away. So then like he couldn't take public transport, but prior to that he was sneaking and walking up to her house. But then she moved him so far away that he would have to be reliant upon her for transportation to get back to Endicott. So I don't think there's a coincidence that 3 days after he moved into that new place, that's when this happened. But it got really bad after his mom passed away, 2006, because then he got into hard drugs. And then he went to jail for a month, and then he did get clean and didn't drink or anything like that and was doing good. And then he got an abscess on his tonsil, and we went to the emergency room, and yes, he was in a lot of pain, but I kept telling them, I'm like, he has past addiction issues. He really, like, keep that in mind. But they still gave him, I'm trying to think, when he came in, they gave him fentanyl. And then they sent him home with a prescription for Percocet. Like, shortly after that, he started just spiraling, and I knew something was going on because he was acting funny. I know when something's off. And he just kept going down, and he had left, so I don't really know exactly what he was doing, but he started drinking more heavily than I'd ever seen him drink in our entire 17 years together. It was so bad that he was having withdrawal symptoms, shakes. He would have to start drinking in the morning. It was really bad.
I mean, let's just be honest here. John had two parents that both had addiction issues of some sort, Dad, and my mom had alcoholism, and stuff. So, he wasn't dealt a fair hand to begin with, on top of some mental health stuff. So, and unfortunately his life ended too soon, but
36.
Way too soon.
36.
But he lives on through all of us, and we have the capability every day of doing the right thing and making him proud and connecting with him. But now that he's gone, I said this at his funeral, I went up, and not many people went up to talk, but I did. I didn't know what to say, and I was nervous, and I just said, my brother picked on me a lot when he was alive, but now I just wish he was here to pick on me.
But I miss him, and he's up in heaven somewhere with his mother.